它就是一件废纸，它也不会执行，所以希望大家就把那个裁决搁在那儿，搁到纸篓子里边就完了，或者搁到书架上，放到档案馆留起来就完了。最后结果还是要回到谈判的轨道上来。我们希望其他国家不要借机来威胁中国，希望其他国家能够与中国一起努力，相向而行，共同维护南海和平稳定，不要把南海变成一个战争的发祥地。
这次巡航的任务就是要展现台湾人民捍卫国家利益的决心。
至于中国会不会划设南海航空识别区，首先我们要说清楚的是，中国有这个权利。航空识别区制度不是中国的发明，是其他一些大国的发明。中国在东海划了，在南海是不是需要划，要根据我们受到威胁的程度。如果我们的安全受到威胁，当然要有权划。
On the West Philippine Sea, we remain optimistic that the judgment will be in our favor, and if it's not, then we will accept it as part of a country who honors international commitments. That is by the UNCLOS. If it's favorable to us, let's stop.
中方也注意到杜特尔特总统阁下和菲律宾新政府在南海和仲裁问题上做出的积极表态，愿同中方就南海问题进行协商对话，中方对此表示欢迎。中方愿同菲律宾新政府共同努力，妥善处理南海问题，推动中菲关系早日重回正轨。双方越早移除仲裁案的障碍，就越有利于尽早全面启动合作，尽快为两国人民带来实实在在的合作成果。
这么一步的，谢谢各位。
Nakahanda na po ba yung Coast Guard kung sakali na bumalik po sa...
This has no relation at all with the decision of the international law, International Tribunal on the Law of the Sea. Just so happened that this is already scheduled, and this is a regular exercise conducted between Japan and the Philippines. So walang relasyon ito, and ginagawa lamang natin ito because we would like to enhance the interoperability of both participating countries. Well, this is basically a law enforcement drill, meaning there will be boarding exercise. Ang senaryo, pagka merong mga napiratang barko o merong mga crimes committed on board the vessel, even in the high seas or sa mga territorial waters, papracticein namin yung magiging reaction ng both parties like Japan Coast Guard boarding team tsaka yung Philippine Coast Guard boarding team.
Afternoon, everybody. Afternoon. Book gets heavier every day. This is a legally binding decision, and it's our expectation, frankly, it's the world's expectation. It's not just the United States. The world is watching now to see what these claimants will do. The world is watching to see if China is really the global power it professes itself to be, and the responsible power that it professes itself to be. The world's watching this. And the next steps are for the parties to determine, not for the United States to determine. As I said, the onus is on them now to abide by the obligations set forth in the decision. It's day one. So let's see where it goes. And I'm not going to get, wait a second, I'm not going to get ahead of hypothetical situations with what the United States will or won't do. Our expectation, the world's expectation is that all claimants, both claimants in this case, are going to abide by their obligations. So let's see if that actually happens. The United States military has a presence in the Pacific. We are a Pacific power. 5 of our 7 treaty alliances are in the Pacific. We have enormous security commitments in the region. And when we operate our ships and our aircraft, we do so in international airspace and international maritime space. And we train with our allies and our partners. And those are serious obligations because our military has a responsibility to protect and defend the United States' national security interests. And we've been doing that for a long time, well before these issues in the South China Sea came up.
Still happen. Well, for me, definitely it will. Number one, even in the last months of the Aquino administration, he said there has to be negotiations by China. Indeed, under the Duterte administration, upon assumption of office, President Duterte said yes, negotiations with China. Now, after the arbitration itself, the word coming out of Beijing was an offer to negotiate and go into what the statement of Beijing says, provisional measures, which is about joint development and joint cooperation. So there will be negotiations. Now, and especially, to me, would be no problem with Beijing, because that is what their offer was upon a release of the arbitral award. The problem, however, might be the Philippines. I say might, because number one, it is a clean sweep under the arbitral award in all the submissions of the Philippines. Number two, it was a unanimous award by 5 arbitrators. Now, beyond that, you know how divided the public opinion is now in the Philippines, especially against China, and therefore a suspicion of China if you go to negotiations. Besides, there will be a principle involved there. Why go into negotiations now, which would tend to involve a sacrifice of sovereignty when we have won in the arbitral court all the way? So that might tie the hands of President Duterte. It's an internal issue, questioning why he would go into negotiations when we had a clean sweep in the arbitral tribunal, and it was not only a clean sweep, it was a unanimous award by the 5 arbitrators. About that so-called international support, to me, it has always been propaganda, you know. I mean, for example, in any event the U.S. is involved, it always says it has the support of the international community of nations. Regardless of what happens, if you look at all the statesmen of the United States, it has international support in Libya, in Iraq, in wherever. So it just continues that rhetoric. But I doubt very much whether it does matter, you know. But you have a good point there, because Secretary Del Rosario, 2 days before his actual retirement, said that he undertook 151 trips. You verified this from the news reports. He said he took 151 trips to gather international support for the arbitration. But quite frankly, I'm not sure I can believe that. Now we are faced with supposedly with a big victory through arbitration, but there's no way to enforce it. Now your question is, what should the Philippines do? As I answered during the panel discussion earlier, the Philippines says, together with the United States, it is trying to gather international support to enforce the ruling. Beyond that, I really don't know. It's all rhetoric.
So this decision affects our economy?
Mr. George C. Said something about that in case China is unhappy with the decision, it could do some trade embargo. But whether we will do it or it will do that or not, we really are not sure. Personally, I don't believe it will be as harsh as what the United States always does. To push its agenda, it undertakes regime change, economic and trade sanctions, the whole thing. The United States is very famous for that. I don't think China will do it.